All right, my name is Gabriel Carrillo. I'm an instructional technology specialist in San Antonio, tech coach, 21st century digital learning specialist, whatever the heck your district calls them. I'm that from my 8 to 4:30, but from my 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. and then again, maybe 5 p.m. to like 9 p.m. and sometimes burning the midnight oil. I'm an author. I'm a podcaster / content creator. I make recipes on YouTube and video tutorials. I host walking food tours. I'm a consultant. I speak at conferences. I'm a father. I'm a husband and all that other great stuff as well. So my book is titled Cooking Up Experiences in the Classroom. Cooking Up Experiences in the Classroom. Focus on experiences, not just lessons. 30,000 foot view of the classroom so that teachers and educators can take what they're planning on a day-to-day basis, zoom out, get a bigger picture, and try to make it more of a memorable experience, not only for our students, but for the teacher as well, for the educators involved, because as learners, we don't necessarily remember a lesson, but we will recall an experience, a moment, and we recall how that made us feel. And that's what it's all about. Building experiences, cooking up experiences in the classroom, not just lessons. It has parallels to food in every chapter. Like, for example, my introduction, I give you the why of the book. I also give you how to use this book. One of the big things in there and that you'll catch at the end is that you can't do this alone as a teacher. You have specialists, you have coaches, you have people at the district level and at your campus who can help you out with teaching, creating, ideating, unpacking standards and things like that to meet the needs of the students. So when I say you can't do it alone, I mean, we can't do it alone. It takes a village. Well, the goal is for people to read this book almost like a book study, get together, maybe during the summer, do a summer book club, book study, and get together with some of your colleagues, read the book, get together, make the meals in the book, because every chapter, like I said, has a food parallel. And at the end of that chapter, you get my recipe for that food dish, including the QR code so that you could scan and it'll take you to my YouTube video on how to make this dish so you can make it along with me and make it with some colleagues. You know, that way you guys can have a feast and start thinking about, you know, how to tackle next year and the planning and what you guys are going to do, what you guys are going to focus on, how you're going to departmentalize or not departmentalize, and what you're going to do to kind of be ahead of the game and not constantly behind the eight ball. So those are some of the things that my book is intended for, is just that community building, because I'm all about community building, and you know this from the food tours and things like that. So that's what I'm all about. It's the EdTech Bites Podcast. Started 2017 at ISTE. I want to say it was like June 26th of 2017. So this is going on year 8. As of the recording today, it is 264 episodes deep. And I started off with the premise of wanting to discuss educational topics, hot takes, tools, strategies with individuals in person while breaking bread together. Because like I said earlier, and how I mentioned in the book multiple times, the best conversations happen when we break bread with great people. So that's what my podcast is all about. Come COVID, 2020, had to shut that down and do some more virtual stuff. But it was really easy for me to fall back on the virtual stuff because I could just sit down on my computer, record through Zoom or Google Meet or what have you, and I can connect with anybody and record a podcast, much like we're doing here. However, I took a step back and said my original goal was to do this in person. So I'm doing much more of the in-person stuff, especially at conferences. So if you're ever at a conference that I'm going to be at, I can promise you that I'm doing some in-person live podcasting and would love to break bread with you at the conference, on the show, to discuss a topic, a strategy, a tool, a hot take, And oh my gosh, why did Padlet only let us have 3? And what the heck happened to Google Jamboard kind of thing. So yeah, we can talk about that stuff. And that's what my podcast is all about. And for those people who have been previous guests, I can promise you that they won't necessarily remember every single podcast they've been on, but they'll remember the one that they broke bread with in person at a conference or at a podcast studio with me. So once again, making things an experience. So that's my show. I've got a lot of things going on this summer. I'm creating my calendar of events for conferences. I'm speaking at some conferences around the country. I'm also doing a couple of keynotes this summer. So I'm doing those things, getting those things in the work and getting contracts done and things like that. I'm going to be hosting a pretty awesome event at ISTE 2025 here in San Antonio, Texas. That is not a walking food tour. People normally know me for my walking food tours that I do at conferences, but if you've ever been to San Antonio in late June, early July, the last thing you want to do is walk on the sidewalk in downtown because it's over 100 degrees with 100% humidity, and we don't want to do that. I don't want anyone fainting or what have you on my clock on my walking food tour. So I'm doing something a little bit different, cultural event as far as the Latino community in that, to bring people into the San Antonio culture in that. So I've got a big event that I'm going to be unveiling in the next month or so. So be on the lookout for that.